Bitcoin has made its first higher high on the daily time frame for the first time since May. It closed its daily candle above 64K, which confirmed this higher high right here. And this is the first higher high Bitcoin has seen since way back over here back in May. It has been in a downtrend of lower highs, and lower highs for the past 2 months essentially, but it's finally made a higher high. This shows a trend shift. This downtrend appears to now be over. And like I had said yesterday in yesterday's video with the weekly close, we had successfully reclaimed this area on the weekly time frame. And I had mentioned that in the future we would likely see a test of this upper range up here. It might not be immediate, but I do think that Bitcoin has momentum currently, and we're seeing a lot of this come with like the political stuff. And then more recently, we just found out today that the SEC is finally going to launch, or has confirmed the launch of the Ethereum ETF for Tuesday, July 23rd, thanks to Eric Balchunas, who tweeted this out or mentioned it. So the Ethereum ETF will be launched next week, and Ethereum is seeing upside as well. Ethereum is close to putting in its first daily candle higher high right here. It hasn't done it yet, but it probably will just based on what Bitcoin has done. So we're going to look out for that. And I also mentioned on Twitter that I do think with the elections, that the elections will likely not be priced in just based on what we see from traditional markets. I'm going to show you on the S&P 500 right here. If we go back to 2016 and 2020, this was May or November of 2020 right here. The election results were confirmed, and then the market continued up. So all this upside that occurred after was not priced in. They waited for the election results, and once the election results were confirmed, we saw the upside after. Then we go back to 2016. Let me go to the weekly time frame. So if you go back to 2016, you see the same exact thing. This is November of 2016. Election results confirmed, upside after. So none of this upside was priced in. Then we could go back to 2012 right here, November. Election results confirmed, upside after. So my point is that due to the SEC's stance on crypto, I don't think traditional investors will price in an election result. Traditional investors will wait for the election result to happen before we start to see it actually get priced in, because that's what takes place in the stock market as just shown. So it would make sense that traditional investors will wait until we see the election results confirmed, and then we would start to see this priced in, because currently for traditional investors, the SEC has essentially made this whole space nearly uninvestable, because the SEC has gone after almost every crypto coin, every crypto company, and it's just not a place where you want to have your money if you're a traditional investor, because you have to fear that the SEC can just come along with a lawsuit and then your investment is now sabotaged. That's just not something that's going to attract traditional investors. However, this would change if Trump were to win. Then the SEC would likely be overhauled, and then this whole space looks a lot different and would be a lot more attractive to investors. I do think, however, regardless of who wins, that the crypto markets will still see upside, but I think the potential of the upside will be a lot higher if Trump were to win at this point, just because we know that they will be definitely just changing the SEC around. So I think just with Trump's odds going up the past few days based on the last weekend's events, the market has seemed to like that. And then with the Ethereum ETF, I think the market has liked that also. So crypto markets are seeing momentum. There's a lot of catching up to do. If you look at the S&P 500 compared to where Bitcoin was, this is the April high for the S&P 500. It's gone way past it. But then if you look at Bitcoin, this was the April high, and it never even got above it. So the crypto markets, I do think, have a lot of work to do to catch up to what the stock market has done. And I do think they will eventually catch up. And I think a lot of this just has to do with the fact that the crypto space is still under the rule of the SEC, but eventually that might just change based on the election results. So we will see what happens. And Bitcoin will continue to do what it's doing, but we will see if it can push this upper area or maybe perhaps a small pullback before continuing up.